The film opens with Meg, a recently divorced mother, searching for a fresh start with her daughter, Sarah. A real estate agent and her friend lead them to a massive brownstone in the heart of the city, a house that seems too good to be true. As they step inside, the agent guides them through the elegant parlor and spacious living areas. Sarah, riding her scooter through the halls, takes in the surroundings with curiosity. Then comes the grand reveal. The house has its own elevator. The agent can't stop bragging about it, dropping hints about the home's previous owner, a wealthy but mysterious figure. Meg isn't fully convinced, but her friend urges her to act fast. This place is a rare find. While Meg considers her options, the agent makes small talk, asking about her work. She reveals that she plans to go back to school, signaling a fresh start for her and Sarah. Then, they reach the master bedroom. Something feels off. Meg notices that the space seems smaller than expected. That's when the agent unveils the panic room, a hidden, high-security shelter built like a vault. Inside, Meg inspects the features: steel-reinforced walls, a separate phone line, live-feed security cameras, and a sophisticated ventilation system. As the agent demonstrates the room's capabilities, he suddenly shuts the massive door. Panic sets in. Meg demands he open it. When the door finally slides back, Sarah, standing outside, playfully claims the room as her own. Meg remains uneasy, fearing the heavy door might be dangerous, but the agent reassures her. It has motion sensors to prevent accidents. With that, Meg makes the decision. They're buying the house. Fast forward to move-in day. Boxes are stacked, phones are hooked up, and reality sets in. Sarah, with her usual sarcasm, congratulates her mom on their big move. Meg orders pizza, but their first dinner in the house feels underwhelming. Sarah, however, embraces the change, trying to lift her mother's spirits with playful cursing. As night falls, they settle into their new home. Sarah complains that her room is too dark, prompting Meg to switch on the closet light. The storm outside grows stronger, thunder echoing through the massive house. Meg unpacks, uncovering old memories, including a baby picture of Sarah. Alone in her bathroom, Meg pours herself a glass of wine and quietly breaks down. The weight of her new reality is setting in. Determined to regain control, she tests the house's high-tech security features, activating the surveillance system. The cameras flicker to life, displaying every corner of their new home. She has no idea that by morning she'll be fighting for her life inside that very panic room. As rain pours down relentlessly, Meg drifts into a deep sleep, leaving her half-finished glass of wine on the bedside table. Meanwhile, outside her home, a stranger approaches the front door, attempting to unlock it with a key, only to fail. Another man instructs him to try the back entrance, but that too remains locked. Determined, the intruder ascends the emergency stairs, testing every door along the way. When none open, he makes his way to the roof, where he pries open a hatch. Inside, a security system briefly flashes beside Meg's bed, but she remains undisturbed in her slumber. The intruder, Burnham, successfully gains entry and begins exploring the house. A glowing nightlight catches his attention, momentarily startling him. Meanwhile, Meg wakes up for a brief moment, sipping water before returning to bed. As Burnham moves through the house, he stumbles upon Sarah's room, where she sleeps soundly. He carefully shuts her door and then spots Meg, still asleep but facing away. Burnham heads downstairs and discreetly lets his crew inside. However, there's an unexpected problem. Raoul, an unpredictable wild card, has joined them without permission. As they assess their surroundings, they're taken aback by Meg and Sarah's belongings in the living room. The house was supposed to be empty. Realizing this mistake, Burnham confronts Junior, the one responsible for planning. Junior insists that Meg and Sarah weren't supposed to arrive for another week. Tensions rise as Burnham considers backing out, but his partners push to continue. He worries that Meg's husband might return home, but Junior coldly reassures him that won't be an issue. He's busy with another woman. With the stakes rising, Raoul is eager to push forward, but Burnham hesitates. The thought of felony charges and potential kidnapping makes him reluctant. Junior, however, reminds him of the reason they're here. Inside this house lies $3 million. and no one else knows about it. He urges Burnham to think about his children and the money they desperately need. Meanwhile, Meg stirs from her bed just as the intruders continue arguing downstairs. Sensing something is off, she quickly turns on the panic room lights. The burglars realize they need to act fast. Burnham orders them to disable the phones. Meg rushes to the bathroom, and the faint sound of a toilet flushing catches the intruders' attention. They listen closely as she makes her next move. As she steps into the panic room, she catches sight of the three men. In a tense moment, one of them accidentally kicks a ball, alerting Meg to their presence. Without wasting a second, she dashes to Sarah's room, frantically waking her daughter. She splashes water on Sarah's face to jolt her awake, and they sprint towards safety. But Raul spots them. With adrenaline coursing through their veins, Meg and Sarah race to the elevator, desperate to escape before it's too late. With her mother unfamiliar with how it works, Sarah quickly instructs her on using the controls. As soon as the elevator doors slide open, they sprint toward their only refuge, the panic room. Slamming the heavy steel door shut behind them, they barely make it inside. On the other side, frustration boils over. Junior, one of the intruders, pounds the door in anger. In a fit of rage, he shatters a nearby mirror. Raul, another member of the crew, warns him that breaking a mirror brings 7 years of bad luck. Unfazed, Junior flips the bed over, unknowingly sending Meg's phone tumbling to the floor beneath it. Meanwhile, Burnham, the most experienced of the group, demands to know whether Meg and Sarah have locked themselves inside the panic room. Inside, Meg quickly tries to use the room's emergency phone, only to realize, to her horror, that she forgot to connect it. Stranded mother and daughter sit in tense silence, regrouping and trying to figure out their next move. Outside, tensions escalate. Junior hands Raul a gun. Inside, Meg, concerned for Sarah, asks if she's feeling weak or shaky because of her diabetes. Sarah reassures her, insisting she'll be fine. The burglars, growing uneasy, realize Meg might have a working phone inside the panic room. But Burnham, who has inside knowledge of the house's security, dismisses their concerns. He knows the phone isn't connected. Meg, refusing to sit idly, grabs a pager and sends a message to the intruders, bluffing that the police are on their way. The burglars don't buy it. Junior scrawls a message in response, letting them know that what they're after is inside the panic room. Meg refuses to negotiate, warning them that they'll never get in. Burnham, knowing the house's security better than anyone, explains how the place was designed to keep intruders out. But that doesn't stop them from coming up with a plan. Burnham begins sealing off every exit in the house, screwing all the doors shut. Watching their every move through security cameras, Meg and Sarah realize they're being trapped inside. Desperate to break in, Raul takes a sledgehammer and starts attacking the floor beneath the panic room. Burnham, spotting a propane tank, suddenly has a dangerous idea. Meg and Sarah, realizing the situation is escalating, scream for help toward the neighbors, but no one hears them. Burnham drags the propane tank upstairs and drills a hole into the room's ventilation system. As Meg and Sarah watch in horror, the burglars attach a hose to the hole and begin pumping gas inside. Junior and Raul demand they open the door wider. Trapped and struggling to breathe, Meg and Sarah cough violently as the room fills with fumes. Desperate for air, they crouch down, gasping for breath through a tiny hole in the floor. Meg desperately tries to seal off the ventilators, but despite her efforts, they still open. She senses the danger intensifying and hands Sarah a fire blanket, shielding her daughter from the looming threat. Meanwhile, inside, tensions rise. Burnham insists they should turn off the gas, but Raul refuses. As the situation escalates, Meg makes a bold move. She ignites the ventilator, triggering a gas explosion that engulfs Junior in flames. Outside, Sarah frantically signals their neighbor using a flashlight and Morse code. The neighbor wakes up, sees their distress, but instead of helping, he shuts his blinds, ignoring their cries. Inside, greed takes over. Raul demands a bigger cut of the loot, and though furious, Junior reluctantly agrees. Meanwhile, Sarah realizes the burglars have left the panic room. Seizing the moment, Meg rushes out to grab her phone, but the intruders quickly catch on. Desperate for a way to call for help, she locates the main phone line, improvising a connection inside the panic room. She dials 911, only to be placed on hold. She then calls her husband but doesn't get to finish her sentence before the call is cut off. Downstairs, Raoul smashes the basement breakers, plunging the house into darkness. Meanwhile, Sarah, struggling with her low blood sugar, grows weak and dizzy. Junior, realizing they may be running out of options, tries to strike a deal with Burnham, offering him money. But a bigger revelation changes everything. Inside the safe is not just a few million, but over $22 million. However, things spiral out of control. Junior confirms the fortune in the safe but realizes it's now unreachable. Frustrated and desperate, Raoul turns on him, killing Junior on the spot. Sarah, watching in horror through the security cameras, witnesses everything. At that moment, Meg's husband, Stephen, arrives at the house only to be ambushed and strangled by Raoul. Burnham, torn between greed and morality, hesitates. Stephen, in a desperate attempt to protect his family, hands over his wallet, revealing his identity. Burnham then uses Stephen's driver's license to threaten Meg, forcing her to open the panic room door. Meanwhile, Sarah's condition worsens, her blood sugar plummets, and she starts having a seizure. Meg, through the security camera, sees Burnham carrying someone dressed as her husband, but it's actually Raoul. Realizing the deception, she makes a dash to the fridge, grabs Sarah's insulin, and heads back. Burnham enters the panic room, finding Sarah trembling, but before he can react, Meg charges in. Raoul overpowers her, throwing her across the room. As the chaos unfolds, Meg manages to toss the insulin into the panic room just before the door slams shut. Raoul's hand gets caught in the heavy steel door, crushing it. In the struggle, Raoul drops his gun, and Meg seizes it. With no other choice, Meg demands they give Sarah the insulin shot. Burnham, showing a sliver of decency, complies. Meanwhile, the safe is finally opened, revealing the massive fortune in bank bonds. The police soon arrive at the front door. Meg, knowing she must act carefully, signals that she will handle the situation. When the officers ask if she needs help, she resists blinking, playing along so they don't intervene. As they leave, she immediately takes action, smashing the security cameras. Burnham retrieves the $22 million in bank bonds. Just as they are about to escape, Raoul takes Sarah hostage, using her as a human shield. Meg and Stephen stand their ground. Stephen, now armed, demands they release his daughter. A brutal fight erupts. Meg swings a sledgehammer, knocking down Raoul. Burnham tries to flee, but before he can escape, Raoul recovers, attacking Meg. Stephen shoots Raoul, but he refuses to go down. In a last-ditch effort, Sarah stabs Raoul with a syringe. Enraged, Raoul prepares to deliver a fatal blow to Meg, but Burnham intervenes, shooting him in the head. With Raoul dead, the police storm in. Burnham, knowing the game is over, surrenders without a fight. As he is arrested, the stolen bank bonds scatter in the wind. The heist ends in failure. In the final scene, Meg and Sarah, now safe, sit together in the park, searching for a simpler new home. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe to our channel for more great content. Thank you for watching.